Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel, LifeSnapShot. Evelyn and Greg and Muttley here from Australia. 26th of June. I suppose you could say, well, 3 and a bit weeks into winter here. It's getting cold pretty much almost during the day. It gets cold at night, 4 o'clock onwards. It starts to get pretty cold down there. Depending on where you live, of course, it might be like, that's nothing. It gets to about 3 to 4 degrees at night now here, but for us that's freaking cold. Okay. So I suppose we're kind of blessed here in Australia. Our weather patterns are pretty sort of in a bracket there that everyone can live with, but it's good seasonal change. I like the seasonal change. It makes you want to eat those nice hot casseroles. You got your hot chocky and all that sort of stuff. That's the way I look at it anyway. So I wanted to talk about this first home buyers situation, okay, because it's not good. People need to understand this, and they need to look at the big picture. Now, like always, I'm no expert. Always go get sound professional advice. Your circumstances probably much different to mine, so just remember that. But I want to give you, like I always do in my videos, an honest, down-to-earth, real person who's been through it, and I've been through a lot. I've been through recessions, GFCs, all that sort of stuff. Everything that they sort of, the political side, say about what's happening, what's affecting what, when it comes to overseas, domestic, whatever it is, politicians just not telling you the full story. And when they change things, like what's happened recently with the CGT and the negative gearing and all that sort of stuff, when they change things like that, first of all, there's not an immediate impact, okay? It takes a while for the ripple effect to go through the whole market and back again. And what do people do with their second properties? What do they do with a holiday home? What they do with something like they own an Airbnb and things like that. So people are in decision mode at the moment. So just remember that. It's not going to be like overnight, because the government's done this, everyone goes and does the one thing. Suddenly everybody who didn't have a chance to get into the market now has a chance to get into the market. And you need to look at the big picture. And probably one point I'm going to bring up that a lot of people aren't thinking about. So I hope you hang around. Appreciate if you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that. Chuck a like, and always chuck comments. We love hearing from people, especially from other parts of the world, or someone closer that actually genuinely wants to know what my opinion is. And I'm happy to help. If it's a question you think I can answer. So, hey, let's get into it. So these changes that have happened, first of all, they're talking about, that the market auctions have dropped, and everyone should be panicking now that auctions have dropped 40% or whatever, or they got passed in. Look, I've said this before. Just remember what time of year it is. Take a step back and look at the big picture. All right. It's winter time. It's the end of financial year. It always happens. Things slow up. You don't believe me? Just ring any real estate. Just ring them out of the blue and ask them that question. Really, is it that, yeah, maybe they'll admit that the government talking about changes and mucking around with the CGT and stuff. Yeah, definitely that's got some sort of ripple effect, but we're yet to see that. That's something that's going to happen 6 months down the track, Christmas time even. Right now, that's doing nothing. It's what normally happens at this time of year, and you'll get it if you get an honest real estate, which probably is quite difficult these days. They'll tell you it's the time of year. It's this time of year. People aren't desperately looking for a house. It's cold out there. They want to get home from work and they want to relax, and they're not into going out at night and cruising around and having a look at what's on the market, going down to the real estate after work, trying to get there before they close. All those things are little things, yes, but they are bits and pieces of the real estate market that make effects that what's happening out there, how many people are buying, who's turning up to auctions. Another thing I wanted to bring up is the media. Now, the media will say, this is really bad and everything's, the market's now, something's wrong, and, the pass-in percentages and all this sort of stuff are, are down and all this sort of stuff. Everybody start panicking. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the media, when it comes to first home buyers and what the media are actually saying, they might be going to an area like, I'll give an example of very, very wealthy areas in my area, but you can use this basically anywhere, in any state, in any country. Sure, there might be down percentages, when it comes to sell rates of homes, say last weekend, auction rates, okay? They're down 20% or whatever. But they might be looking in the market, for example, here in Sydney, North Shore, Bondi, places where the houses are $4, $5, $10 million. They're not telling you the actual facts. They're saying, okay, this suburb here is down 20%. This suburb here is down 30%. They're not telling you that. They're just giving you a broad, rough idea of what they think, and they might throw in a few facts when it comes to, like I said, and it'll always make it so that it looks worse than what it is. So just remember that. Most first home buyers, the areas that you can afford and you're looking at, it's pretty much the same at the moment. Not to mention the fact that you'll find that in those areas, there's probably not many Airbnbs for a start. So there's probably not many investment properties. So just remember that these factors happen every year. Now, there's also the fuel excise is getting cut in half. So remember that. That's a big thing for a lot of people that use their vehicles to get to and from, business, even use their vehicles as a business. So now I'll give you another example of what I have witnessed myself. I live in an area that has about this part of the village I live in, there's probably about 150 homes. It's a very, very small area. But overall, we've got two villages. We've sort of basically got the park, which I live in, and then you've got the lake. Now, the lake joins both of us, but we're right up one end of the lake. The other part of where I live is right on the surf beach. So we're up one end of the lake, and about 6 kilometres down the road is the actual surf beach. So we've got sort of like two parts. Here we've got about 150 homes. Down there we've probably got about 250. Very, very small community. But around here we've got a stack of B&Bs and holiday homes. I've got 16 properties in my street in a cul-de-sac. Out of those 16, 10 of them are either holiday homes or Airbnbs or both. They kind of use them for both. They use them for holiday, but also Airbnb. They're advertised as Airbnb. But most of them are holiday homes. So you would think down here, it's a very, very exclusive market in the sense of you just can't come down here and just buy a house and then go look for a job. It's extremely hard to get a job around here. Most of the jobs are taken. I'm talking, the obvious Coles, Woolworths, Bunnings, hairdressers, cafes. We've got plenty of that stuff. If you tried to come down here and apply for a job at Bunnings, chances are you're not going to get it because there's a couple of people already lined up ready to go that are local, and they might have their mothers or fathers or someone that works for these places. You come down here and try to do a small business like a cafe or a cake shop or hairdresser, something like that. You're pushing poo uphill with a pointed stick to get that business up and running at a decent rate. You're actually good money because there's too much competition down here, and they're all sort of basically taken. So picture that as you will. This area, it's very difficult. We mainly have retirees, or like I said, people who have got a bit of money and are looking to invest, or buy a holiday home. That's basically it. There's not really much more here. You're not starting a new family and moving down here and looking for a career. You need to have a career already set up, a home business or whatever, then possibly it works for you. Not to mention, we're 2.5 hours from Sydney. I have not, just take that into consideration. I've seen, sorry, I lie. One of the B&Bs has gone up for sale. Okay, I can literally walk around this whole area in 10 minutes. Okay, and I know every movement. There is one house that's gone up that was a holiday house, and funny enough, it's right next door to me. I know the guy. Now I was talking to him, and I've been in this house for 8 years. He's had that house for 30 plus years. So I was saying to him, okay, you're a bit worried about the tax and that. He said, not really. He hasn't been using this place for a long time. I barely saw him. He had a big family. He had a daughter and a son, both married and both got their own thing, and they had grandkids, the whole works. And before these changes and everything, I rarely saw them. They'd come down for a weekend once every 6 months, if that. And it actually got less. Can you beat that? Like, it's 12 months now I haven't seen him. And then suddenly a for sale sign went up. And then he rocked up just about going on a week ago now. And I said to him, they got you, hey? You're going to sell, because you're going to lose a bit of money here, aren't you? And it's fair enough, He said, actually, that's not the reason why he's selling. The reason why he's selling is personal. He's one of his daughters is moving away from the area, completely away from the area. They're about an hour and a half drive where they live from here. And the son-in-law is, and so the grandkids are sort of going to be less to see them, the grandparents who own this place. And okay. He said, yeah, that's this other thing. I don't really care about it, Like, now picture this. He's had it for 30 years. He probably paid $100,000 for that place, less, right? It's on the market for 1.1 million. So, hey, good investment, right? So, you know what I mean? And I'm getting this vibe from everywhere around here that I thought to myself, we're going to see a lot of for sale signs here. And most of the B&Bs and the holiday homes that are around here are easily 15, 20 years ownership. They haven't been bought recently. Most of them have been bought, like I said, 20, 25 more years ago. And they've just been holiday homes and they turned them into B&Bs or 50-50. So we haven't seen any reaction, any change, except for one person. And his reasons were, for private reasons, he's doing what he's doing. It's not because of the changes to the thing. Now, I want to get into a really important point here. I'm going to try and explain this as best as I can for first home buyers who think now this is a good idea, what's happening here, that the prices are dropping. In a sense, yes, it is. But also you've got to look at something. You're about to buy your first home. What more do you want out of your first home, your biggest investment, probably for your life, like all of us? What do you want? You want that to be a good investment, rightly so. And houses always have been that. So this is my point. You're going to have to be very careful being a first home buyer. So I'll give you an example, right? Overnight, just recently, they've been talking about how Sydney has dropped 10%. Fine. For her first home buyers, that sounds good, doesn't it, right? And I'm trying to put myself in a first home buyer's shoes. I'd be like, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here, okay? I get that. I get how people could be convinced that now there's a possibility, whereas 2 years ago or whatever, you just thought it was going to be impossible. Now there's a chance that you can get in on the market. Great, fine. So $1 million home drops 10%. Now it's 900,000. You start going out and looking really, really seriously around the area, and even a couple of areas have opened up that you thought you couldn't get into. Now you're really excited. Now you're really feeling good that there's a possibility here you could even upgrade from the areas you were looking at to maybe a little bit better area. Do you buy? Let's just say the scenario now. It's dropped 10%. You can afford this. It's the 100,000 that you were missing, so to speak. Dropped 10%. 1 million to 900. Do you buy now? Let's say you do. And then next week, as you're signing the contract, the market drops another 10%. You've gone and borrowed, say, $700,000. for this $900,000 home that you are signing for has just gone down to $800,000. Now what? You've just lost $100,000 when you thought you'd saved $100,000. Okay? It can get worse. Then a month goes by and it drops again. Now what? A house that you thought was $1 million at the beginning of the year, you bought it for $900,000. Now the market's still going down and it's only worth $700,000. Do you see where this is going? Before, yes, first home buyers, it was difficult to get them into the market. It was difficult. But I'll let you in on a secret. It's always been difficult. People who bought back in the 90s like me, the 80s, it was extremely hard then. Yes, it was cheaper. Yes, the gap between wages and that was a little bit less. 100% correct. But it was still a gamble. It was still a risk. We didn't know that the future was going to be 90s, the noughties, and then the teens into the 2000s, that it's going to be just skyrocketing. We had no clue that was going to happen. But it was a sound investment. We even thought back then, 100%, I'm taking it as a personal situation, it's just going to go like this. It's always going to go up a little bit, but it's always going to come down too, somewhere along the line. Now, there is no end to how low this can go. So when do you buy? This is my point. Be very, very careful. Right? I hope that helps some people out. It might be actually a worse situation now than what it was before. Yes, you were paying a lot of money for a first home, but pretty much guaranteed that investment was always going to go up. Now, we're not too sure. And most of us bought our homes, they can drop 50%, and we're still in front. Okay? So just remember that. You now have got a lot more of a challenge to when do you buy? Because if it's dropped 10% as of last week, what happens next month? Does it drop another 10%? Or does it go back up? So there's a little bit more to think about there than what it's been like for the last decade. And just remember those points. What time of year is important when it comes to buying a home, especially Christmas time and financial new year. Okay? Don't listen to the media. Go out and do your own homework. Check out the suburbs, what the trend has been the last 10 years. You're going to find, yes, all of them have been going this way, but some of them might have been going like that. Some of them might have been going like that. Okay, there's some factors there that can help you. And then you check out the house. And like I said, if the house is only 30 years old, I would be very concerned and make sure you get an independent builder. Don't get an independent inspector, builder, to check the house. Always do that regardless. But don't go through the real estate. Go through someone that's independent from everybody. You get your own one and tell them the situation you're in. That you're a first home buyer and I don't want to get ripped off, mate. Look after me. Make sure you do a thorough job. And when you get a trustworthy inspector like that, that's he's got his reputation and he wants to keep it. That's gold. All the best. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps some people out. Be careful out there, okay? Don't get caught. Like I said, 10% means 10%, but it might be 20% next month. It might be 30% by the end of the year. You don't know. So just try and do a little bit of homework and do a little bit of investigation, and don't go on what the media say in the real estate, mate. Do your own. You'll get good at this. Trust me. Everyone does. As soon as if you've been doing it for 12 months, you know yourself what to look for. All the best. Hope that helps. Thanks, mate. All the best. See yous.